Everybody waiting?
7 people.
Nice. We live?
We are live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry I'm a little late. I've been on the phone with numerous phone calls. So thanks for your patience, even though we're running 10 to 15 minutes late. Yeah, are any questions yet?
There's no questions, but Dennis is in the house.
Yeah, well, thanks for sticking around, Dennis. We can go out into the shop. I did get a bunch of stuff done since last video. Let me turn that fan off. But got a bunch of stuff done on the Mack truck fenders, roof inserts, frame rails. I'll just turn this fan off so it's not quite so loud. Yep, so I think last week I had a couple of these pieces that were ready to be trimmed and welded, and now everything's all trimmed, welded up, and I've got it kind of clamped to the table. I screwed it to a piece of wood and clamped that to my layout table. That way it's nice and rigid, and I can use the air planisher or hammer and dolly, and the fender's somewhat secure, because that's what I had a lot of struggles with on the first one, was trying to find a good way to hold it and be able to work on it. And I think this is going to be a good solution if I have to make more in the future. So yeah, it's all welded. You can see it's starting to hammer out the weld seam. It's coming up really nice, and haven't done much grinding on it. Here I had a little bit of a proud weld, so I just dressed the top of that off. But I'm hoping this fender is done this week. I know today's Monday, and we still have a long week to go, but you know how stuff happens. I got all the plans in the world, and it only takes one wrench to screw it up. So that's the plan.
How's it going? Fabit made it.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Yep, so yeah, we'll probably end up talking about this because I'm sure people that join later will see it land here and just have questions. So I also did, this is a 3031 Model A coupe roof insert. So it's sitting on the buck, nice and relaxed. I think I'm going to do one more planish pass over it. Just there's like a little wavy spot here, and there was one other one I felt, I think back here. So I think tomorrow I'll do a planish pass on it. My arms and back are still nice and sore, so let myself recover a little bit before I get to that. And then we had, kind of wish I wouldn't have folded up the template, but a guy had sent me a paper tracing of his frame rail. There's a video or a picture I think I posted on Facebook or Instagram. But yeah, he just sent me a tracing of his frame rail, and I drew it up in CAD, and it's pretty much spot on. I had to change one thing at this bend to actually make it bendable. It was a little short in the distance between tangents, but it only moved this point over by like 3/8 of an inch. So I think that'll be doable. So we got those knocked out, and these will be going with me to California. So I'm going to meet him in Missouri over by Joplin, Springfield area. Meet up with him, drop them off to save shipping. So keep that in mind, guys. If you need something made frame rail wise, roof insert, and you want to save money on shipping, I can meet you when I head out to El Mirage in a few weeks. So that route will be from Cincinnati to Indianapolis. Then I'll take 74 to St. Louis, catch 44 all the way down to 40, and I'll shoot all the way across the country on 40. So keep that in mind if you want to save some money on shipping, because shipping's brutal right now. So we did those, and then these are another meetup. I'm going to meet him in New Mexico, I think over by Albuquerque. These are 66 to 77 Ford Bronco rails, and they are mandrel bent and 2x4 by 188 wall. So I got to get them taped together and set out in the trailer for that trip.
Do you think Broncos are probably like #1 frame rail?
It depends.
You were doing a lot.
I do a lot of Bronco rails, and then I do a lot of 47 to 53 Chevrolet. Those I would say are in Mustang, like the Universal Mustang kits that I do. Those are pretty decent. But yeah, those are the top 3 standardized rail that I would say I sell. Everything else is all custom application.
Don is here, one of our members.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Don. And there's some other frame rails. We'll go to the door. I don't want to go in the back because I'm always afraid I'm going to lose you guys. But then these are custom application rails that I'm going to ship out tomorrow. And then, yeah, so there's 2 sets there. And then we started taking the drivetrain out of the Ronnie Duman Indy Roadster that I worked on about this time last year. Had some mechanical issues, so we're going to redo everything, especially in the drivetrain, get that handling better. And on the GT, I got a new fuel pump put in, fixed a couple other spots that I didn't like. Then that's a whole nother debacle with the Holley fuel pumps. Apparently we'd gotten a bootleg, not a legit Holley red pump. So that's fun.
Where'd you order?
I got it through O'Reilly, and they said that they order direct from Holley. I'm talking with Holley and O'Reilly to see if Holley got a shipment of bad.
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, like if their supplier farmed them out somewhere. So I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed because the internals are all plastic, the bolts are metric, and then it sounds terrible. It just makes all kinds of grinding and crunching noises, which isn't something you want in a fuel pump.
I'm about to build a CX500 cafe racer. I want to do all the tins in aluminum. It should be my first time with alloy. What grade thickness should I use?
I would use 063 3003 H14. It's going to be nice and thick. It should shape good. Gives you a little bit more meat there to file anything if you want to file it. Welds good, and it's not as prone to stress cracking from vibrations and work hardening like the 50 series is. So I always use 3003 H14, 063 thick, and race car bodies, motorcycle stuff. Any of that stuff is always going to try to be around that unless other specified.
I used to run the benders at Art Morrison.
Nice.
Those rails look similar.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like a mandrel bender is a mandrel bender. They're all going to be roughly the same. And I've done, man, it's got to be hundreds. I was going through it the other day. So this is my bend book. These are all custom. These are all the custom bend rails that I've done in the past 5 years. So I was going through those, and all of the car frames, even though you think of how different every vehicle is, they're very similar. So like there's one of our class members. I think those are like 47 to 53 with a stretched wheelbase. But all of the full-length rails are very, very similar profile. It's just where the kick up at the toe board and where the kick up for the rear end are and the wheelbase. But profile-wise, they all look very similar, unless you get into something funky like these Broncos, where they've just got that nice swept in the back. Yeah, so it was a very busy week around the shop and out of the shop. So, yeah, if you guys have questions, make sure to get those asked. And then a guy today, right before the live started, he dropped off a vintage sprint car bumper that I have to cut off here where it had some damage in it and put on a new end for, I'm trying to think of the old timers event in a couple weeks. So I got to knock that out this week. And then I've got one 3334 roof insert I have to make.
Sorry.
So I've got it all cut out, and it's a little custom. He needed it a little extra long from where somebody had cut the roof opening a little bit bigger, so we added 5 inches to it. So I got to shape this. I was going to try to do that Friday, and then just my entire day got out of control, and I didn't get nearly as much done as I'd hoped, and I was pretty disappointed. But you can only do so much. And yeah, trying to think of what else. I did the 32 sedan door skins last week. So I did a pair of 32 door skins with half belt line. So these are headed off. I gotta finish cleaning them up, get the oil off the backside, all boxed up and head out. So yeah, lots and lots of low crown sheet metal work in the past week since we were on here last. Any questions yet?
No questions.
No questions. Man, I've covered all of my stuff pretty quick. Well, one good thing is we're wrapping up the board there, and I'll take these over to the table. So last week we were talking about our Cleco holders. So here is the prototype Cleco storage holder, and we've got blue and green, red, and black. So we got the first batch of these in from the 3D printer. AWOLD's Hot Rod Shops is doing all the printing for us, so you can check them out. AWOLD's Hot Rods, or I guess AWOLD's Rod Shop. Yeah, so if you're interested in these, they're $38 plus shipping on the website. So I'm glad to have them in stock and ready to roll, because through the newsletter, a lot of guys seemed really interested. So hopefully we'll keep these coming in, and yeah, let me know if you like them.
I was in the videos, I saw you using this one on the Mack truck fenders.
Yep, so I was using it because it's really nice. Like, even though I've got thousands of Clecos around the shop, but it's really nice. Like, so I can go over to say we were working on the Mack truck fender. I can lay it here. I know they're all going to be here. They're not going to be laying here like that, rolling around, falling on the floor. Keep my drill bits and the pliers. So it's nice to have like a small modular set you can take around and work on each project with you. So I like that a lot.
How big is your shop total?
The entire shop is 7,500 square feet. So this main part is 100 feet long, 50 feet wide, and then the back, I think, is roughly 50 by 50. It might be 45 by 55, but yeah, 5,000 square feet in the main shop, and then 2,500 square feet in the back shop. So yeah, ask plenty of questions, because like I said, we've covered all the stuff I needed to or wanted to talk about.
Schedule?
Yeah. So beginning of the month, we got all the stuff done that I had listed out. Mack truck fenders. I'm a little late on those. I had to move some stuff around, just with my arms being sore. So I moved a bunch of stuff around. So I'm dressing the weld seams now, and this one, because that is this week, right? Yeah, this week. I'm going to probably do it later on this week or next week, because I really want to get that other fender done, hopefully this week. Because I go to Bailey up in Wisconsin, not this week. I think I go up next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday I head up there to do a class, so Noah Norwood will be here. He's going to ride up with me, and then he'll be in the shop for a week after giving me a hand on some stuff. So I'd like to get the Mack truck fenders shipped out or ready to be shipped before I head up to Wisconsin, because then it's just going to be a crazy month, because we'll do the class at Bailey. I'll be home for a week. Then I have a welding class. Then the day after the welding class, I drive out to California to finish race prepping the MGA and go racing at El Mirage. And so there'll be a few weeks, 2, maybe 3 weeks, where we won't be doing the Monday night lives, just because I'll be out of town. I might even stay a little bit longer in California, and I think I mentioned I'm going to stay and do some private classes and some work in some shops out there. So yeah, it might be a couple weeks before I get back in May, before we get back to doing the Monday live events. Just heading into the busy season.
Let's talk about the taillights. So, is that how they looked when you first got the car?
No, these came back. It was all stock, and it had a little oval taillight here, or like a rectangle. Mm-hmm. And I just rough cut that out to where I could fit the taillight in, made a temporary bucket that was just a ring, and I slid the taillight in and then clay modeled it. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, hopefully by the end of summer, all the taillights are done, and this one's ready to head back to the client. Just not enough hours in the day, days in the week, and weeks in the month, because no matter what, I just can't seem to get nearly as much done as I want.
This is the one that I'm most excited to see get finished.
Yeah,
And like after you're done with it, then get finished.
yeah,
It should look pretty cool.
yeah. I think it'll be a really neat car. Yeah, just subtle enough to kind of turn heads, but not so over the top that it's distracting.
Mm-hmm. What could have also worked is like Falcon taillights.
Well, Falcon taillights are round and these are oval.
Yeah. These look they fit it better, but
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, the angle of the pictures thought it was like a Falcon or a Galaxy taillight. But I kind of like these just because they're different.
mm-hmm.
Yep. So what other questions do you guys have? Anything? Nothing at all?
There's nothing
Nothing.
still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, make sure to be keeping an eye out in the community posts. I've got some really good, hopefully engaging questions and commentary to get you guys involved, because I really like to hear your guys' opinions and feedback on what's going on the channel and just other things in life. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. I don't know how to drive engagement with the community posts, but yeah, so keep an eye out for those and we'll see if they work. And one big thing, so I was talking to Vaughn at Moto Retro in Sydney, Australia. We had I don't know what you'd call it. It was a video call last week, and the Australia classes are a go. So in October, I will be heading over at the beginning of October. The time change and the day change kind of messes with me. I don't really know what day I'll be getting there, because if I leave here, we'll just say if I leave here on the 5th, I might not get there till the 7th. I don't know how that's going to play out. So I'll have to figure that stuff out. But the big thing is I will be at the Bathurst race. I think that's the 8th and the 9th of October. So I will be there for the Bathurst race, checking that out. So if any of you guys are going to go to Bathurst, make sure to come find me. I will be around the Moto Retro stuff and the Machinery House booth at the race. And from there, we will be heading back to Sydney, and then we're doing 2 weekend classes. I think most of that is full already. So if you haven't signed up, give Vaughn a call and see if there's any open spots. But I'm also leaving another weekend in there to where we can add a 3rd weekend if there's a lot of people signing up that we don't have room for in the first 2 weeks. So check that out. And then once we get, if we're doing 2 weekends or 3 weekends, I'm going to stay another week after whichever one of those dates, and I'm going to go to the western side of the country and check out stuff on the West Coast. So I'll be in Australia, I'm guessing, for almost the full month of October. So for all my Australian friends out there, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. If you haven't signed up for the class in Sydney at Moto Retro and you want to attend, give them a call, talk to Vaughn, tell them that you saw the video and you want to sign up for the class. And one of the big things is I know enough about Australian cars to be dangerous, but not all that much. So if you're going to come to the class, let me or Vaughn know what kind of projects you want to see or what kind of projects you want to work on, car-wise, section-wise, and machinery-wise. That way we can cater the class towards you. I don't want to come in and be talking about Model A's if that's not the type of stuff that is common over there to be worked on. So make sure to drop a line to me or Vaughn. Let us know if you want to come to the class and what kind of projects and topics you want to talk about during the weekend classes. So I'm really excited about coming to Australia. It's going to be interesting.
On the GT40, 289 or 302?
It's complicated. So technically it's neither. It's a 363 stroker, but it's a Ford Racing product, and they start with a Dart 302 block and they punch it out. So if anything, it's more on the 302 side, but Dart block punched out to a 363 stroker. So it's pretty snappy.
To TIG rosette welds on 19 gauge steel, can you run down the hole size, amps, filler techniques?
Probably not in the live event. We can't do a demonstration on it. So in 19 gauge, you want to stick with the 1 amp for every 1/1000th of material thickness. I wouldn't I'm trying to think, is it a rosette weld or a cleco hole? So we'll do both. So with the cleco hole, you're going to have an 1/8 inch cleco hole like this. You're going to come in and you're going to wet the edge, preheat it, get the edge wet, and then you're going to take your filler rod and you'll dab it in and increase your amperage and just loop it and you'll close it. So that's how I do a cleco hold weld. And a rosette, if you're doing like a plug weld to hold two pieces together, it's going to be very similar. They'll be overlapped, the bottom should be solid, and the top will have whatever diameter hole you're running. I like maybe 1/4, 3/8 max, that's a big hole. Same thing, come in, preheat it, get the edge wet, increase the amperage, and just plunge the filler in. So if you're running 19 gauge, you're probably going to be running around 40 amps, 50 amps. That's about where I would start. And if you're doing cleco holes or just rosette welding, I'd bump up to a 1/16 inch diameter filler rod, because you're just trying to pound that filler rod in there, and you're not so worried about having to hammer that out. I'd rather close that weld up because you have an open void. So same thing with the rosette weld, just pound that filler in there, make sure you get plenty of penetration, and everything's connected.
Sorry, mate. Know everything already.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
asking questions.
Oh.
I 3D dimple dies. I 3D some dimple dies from 3/4 to 2 inch. Used them on 16th metal and worked great. Fab it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm curious about the longevity of 3D printed stuff, because I'd like to get a 3D printer and make like press tooling and Pullmax type tooling and even some press brake tooling, but I'd hate to get into it and it not really hold up the way I would want it to. So
I mean, they 3D print guns, but
yeah, those don't hold up all that well.
no, they have ones that are good now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
Look up the Orca.
Yeah.
They're putting round after round on them.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you watch that, it's probably going to put you on a government watch list.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that. Yeah, so, but I got to wait for life to slow down so I can learn a new skill of 3D modeling and printing. So who knows if that'll ever happen.
Australia has some really cool cars now. Like they got, well, we have them, but like Subaru Brats or Brumbies.
Yeah.
And really like Land Cruisers. I like all the Land Cruisers. Already working on them dies to do that with 3D.
Nice.
So yeah, let us know how that goes.
Yeah, let us know how they hold up and the actual durability. Because I was thinking about, when you do it, just pause the machine before it does the final pass and fill it with a 2-part resin so it's nice and solid. I think it would save on filament too, so you're not, solid 3D printing it, and then the resin would take up the difference.
What if you used resin 3D printer? Have you looked into those?
Yeah, but I mean, still you're going to use the resin filament type stuff, and I don't think you'd want to print it solid.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. No other questions?
No other questions right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys aren't giving me more crap for being late. I was running 10 to 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
But that's the joys of the phone ringing off the hook. I had to take a couple calls. One was a teammate from New Jersey for the racing team who I hadn't talked to in a few months, so needed to get some stuff handled with that. And yeah.
With your team, you're using one car or?
Well, in the past it's been just the red car because that's the only one that's been done. But now this season, I'm taking the MGA and I'm running. I'll be the primary driver and running that car. I don't know if the red car is going to be done. I'd like it to be done, but still waiting on the machinist to get my intake done. And then when the intake's done, we got to build a new hood, get the carburetors on, new linkages, fuel lines, adjust the valves, do head gaskets, and a few other little things. And I have to build a hood. So it sounds like there's plenty of time to do all of that stuff, but the fact that I'm not going to be able to work on it until June, and then I leave the 3rd week in July for Speed Week. That's just a lot of stuff to get done, and 6 or 7 weeks in the nights and weekends before I leave, especially with having to get the MGA ready for Bonneville.
What do you do with the bucks when you're done? Those Mack truck bucks are massive.
So these are going to go back to the client. So that's the thing I do with everybody. If you're paying for me to make the buck, it's your buck. You can take it if you want. These are actually one of the first bucks that the client has wanted at the end. Usually they just stay here and it's part of doing business. You know, what are they going to use the buck for on a single part? But he wants the bucks, so they're going to go with him when these are done, or if he wants more, we'll keep them, and he'll get them when all of his fenders are done. But you can see they're everywhere. There's a Miller IndyCar buck up there in the corner that's got part of a body on it. So that one's up there, and then we've got bucks everywhere. So there's a firewall buck, there's inner wheel well bucks. I think that was part of like a bonnet or a fender. And then 37 Studebaker back fenders, 37 Studebaker front fender. Then lots of bucks. We come around that behind the Fred's Fried Dough and Clam Cakes is the nose for the Red Roadster. Another wheel well for a 47 to 53 truck. A different nose. Small like Model A truck upper. Maybe that wasn't a Model A. I don't remember what that one's for. But a small wheel well. And then, I mean, they're everywhere. Yeah, I stick them anywhere I can stick them. So, yeah. Out in the shipping container, I've got a Shelby Daytona full body buck. It's out there. And yeah, I mean, there's a nose section buck. There's another, like a pulling tractor buck way back there in a corner. And then the big one behind the Daytona is the Indy Roadster buck. And then you can't see it, but over in the other corner on that top shelf is another two-seater IndyCar Roadster buck. So a lot of times I try to keep them to where, I mean, I think they're interesting to look at. But again, if I'm charging you to build the buck for your project, it's yours and you can take it. And that's fine, because clearly I don't have all the room in the world to keep every buck I've ever made. So there might be a time that maybe we'll do that as a giveaway. If I start needing room somewhere, we'll do a giveaway and you can win a buck. Not sure what you guys will do with it, but get it out of my hair at least.
Good idea. Probably helps with shipping too. I mean, it adds weight, but yes.
Yeah.
Resin will deform due to heat when hardening. You're passing the buck.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something I didn't think about the resin with it getting hot. If it deforms the filament, makes sense though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I mean even wire form stuff, like that's the wire form for the 61 Aston Martin DB4 Zagato when I made the new quarter for it. And then this is a kind of a wire form meets station buck for some customer fenders I made years ago. So.
Hey, from Oklahoma. That's from Phil.
Hey, caught me off guard, but yeah, I'll be passing past your place in a couple weeks. My typical stop at Yukon, Oklahoma for the night. Yeah. So.
Where did that rear quarter come off of?
So that is a 33-34 5-window quarter, and I made that for a car years ago. I think I made that in 2017, and the body line around the wheel opening, I didn't like the shape of it, so I just hung it on a wall as a reminder, and I made a new quarter. So yeah, just a non-usable part that I didn't want to put on a customer car, so it gets hung on the wall.
Cool.
Yeah, somebody will end up with it when I die.
No more questions?
No more questions. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to...
You made the spacers for the cabinet back there.
Yeah, but they're all back there. I don't want to go back there and lose service.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the shop cabinets I bought, I made little dividers and had Sin make those. And the bad thing is I really like how they go together. They're 6x6, and then a lot of the smaller parts, I'm gonna have to make like dividers for the dividers. I should have made them about 2" by 2", but when I drew it in CAD, it just looked really, really busy. But seeing it full scale, it probably should have been 2x2 instead of 6x6. And I got enough to do 6 of the drawers 6x6, and I just don't want to waste that material and that money. So, kind of a bummer. So I think the other 12 drawers, I'm going to redesign it, make it 2x2 squares. But I want to get my first 6x6 done first.
Got 20 more minutes.
20 more minutes, that means 20 minutes of questions. Because, yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. We might have to start shrinking these down into 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah, because we always run out of stuff to talk about.
We're at 32 minutes right now.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like we always do good for 30 minutes, and we start running out of questions and talking points. So we might have to shrink this back down to 30 minutes. Like, what do you guys think watching the live? Do you think we should keep doing them an hour? You think we should kick them back to 30 minutes?
Why is the one Bridgeport head on an angle? It was like that since I was there in October. Set up for a reason?
I had to drill out some, what were they? They weren't broken manifold studs. The manifold was cracked, and it was a weird British manifold. So it's not like we could just go get a new one. So I had went in, cleaned everything out, and welded up the manifold, and that was the easiest way to get the bolt flange drilled back in, instead of trying to come up with a way to fixture it to make the manifold sit at an angle. I just bolted the manifold flat and rotated the head over, and I just haven't had a need to straighten it up yet. So I just have left it that way. Every time I walk by it, I'm like, I need to get that retrammed, and then I just never do it.
I need an 18-inch radius, and all I have is flat, and the next up is 9-inch.
You could just, are you using a power hammer, or are you using a wheeling machine, or are you using a planishing hammer? There's a lot of variables that go into that, but all you have to do is decrease the force you're putting on it. So if you're running a power hammer, just decrease the stroke, don't hit quite as hard. You can even tighten up the tool gap so you lose some of that force and creep up on it. Same thing with the planishing hammer, turn your air pressure down and open up your tool gap a little bit. If you're wheeling it, just use lower pressure in between the anvils. You can get away with using a more aggressive tool to get a lower crown. You just have to be really careful not to get any aggressive tooling marks in it.
It's from Phil. He said, wheeling machine at the moment. What's the best solution until I get the proper radius?
Yep, just lower pressure in between. So when you were here for the class, you always want to start with the minimal amount of pressure. So just very little pressure, and you're really going to have to creep up on it. It's going to be a little tricky. I would get a scrap piece of metal of the same material and just test it and make sure you're not going to get any weird tooling marks, especially on the wheel. You could get those grooves that are going to be tough to wheel back out.
Do you have any interest in building a bike? If so, what would it be?
Not really. I'm not, like, I like riding motorcycles, and I don't know enough about them to know what I would like. It'd be one of those things, if I ever wanted to build one, I'd have to do a bunch of research. But it'd probably be like I hate to use the word chopper or bobber, but that style, very bare bones, minimalistic, not super stretched out chopper. So I just have to do research and figure out what parts I like in drivetrain and that kind of stuff and build from there.
It'd be cool to build have you seen the lowrider bikes?
Yeah.
Where they make them jump?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you weld aluminum panels together, say if you're making a fender for multiple pieces, do you have to weld both the front and back of the joints?
I do. So it depends. If you're oxy-fuel welding with flux, you don't have to. But what happens when you TIG weld it, even if you get 110% penetration, if you look at the back side of your weld, there's going to be a discolored line. And that is just going to be an oxidation line where the two pieces came together. And that's going to be a stress riser and prone to cracking. Like I said, even if you get 110% penetration and the weld is extremely bulged out on the backside, you're going to see that line and it's going to crack. So what I like to do is I'll weld with filler rod on the front side, then I'll flip it over and I'll just fuse that seam shut on the back. It's just a good practice, and because the worst thing ever is when you're almost done and you're going to give it one more pass and it cracks through that seam. Ask me how I know. So just always good practice to fuse the backside of that shut. Unless you're oxy-fuel welding, the flux is going to keep that from getting contaminated. But then if you weld with flux, you also have to deal with the flux, which is highly corrosive. So you need to make sure you get all of that off the backside, or else it will start eating the material.
Just jumped in now. Always a joy. How did you get your start?
Well, thanks for joining us. So my start was, I think it's a lot of the same as most people that are in this industry. I was young, and I was building a car for myself, and a guy saw it, and he wanted me to build a car for him. And at that point, I was pretty much fresh out of high school, and I was unemployable just because I have attitude problems. So I started building a car for somebody, and then word got around that I was building stuff for this guy, and it just never stopped. It was never anything on this level when I first got started. I was renting. I started out in my parents' basement, and then they were selling the house, so I rented a really, really crummy building. It was cheap, and it was just kind of gross. But it worked with the budget I had, and I built from there. I had a MIG welder, an angle grinder. The MIG welder was borrowed, and an angle grinder, and I think that's all I had, just some basic hand tool stuff. And then I just constantly reinvested into tools and better equipment, and 20 years later, it turned into what's here now.
What were you typically doing on the cars?
Anything. So originally, like it was, I did a lot of mini truck stuff, so a lot of 4-links, Z frames, tube back halves, even like stock floor body drop, full tube chassis. I was doing that, shaving door handles, shaving tailgates, and then there were some times where work was so slow that I'd have to do oil changes, filter changes, cabin filter changes. I would do all over paint jobs, body work, anything I could do to make ends meet. It wasn't glamorous by any means. And there were some months that me and Jamie walked the dishes getting pop cans to pay rent. So it was whatever it took to make it happen. Yeah, and I've been thinking about maybe doing like a tour, because I've been in a bunch of buildings, because I had that building for a year, and then when I had enough money and clients, I rented a better building, and I was there for almost a year. And then again, I upgraded to a better building with better location, and I was there for 3 or 4 years. And then again, I moved to a bigger location, a better spot, and I think I was there for 6 or 7 years, and then I bought this building. So, but it was all over, because they weren't like right here all in the same area. Like one was out near Bethel, so I mean it was 30 minutes farther out. Yeah, I've been all over.
I read that one. Just to clarify, just a fusion pass on the back, no filler needed.
Yep, you don't need filler, especially if you've got 110% penetration. The material is already there. All you're doing is closing that oxidation line.
10 more minutes. I signed up for the newsletter, but only got the first one after much searching. So can you add a link?
Yep, I gotta figure out how to make the backlog work. Because I still have them all up there. I just don't know how to make them accessible to you guys. I'll have to see if I can find a link, and then maybe we'll put that in each newsletter. Like, want past issues, check it out. So that's something I got to put on my list to work out.
How hard was it to make the leap into mandrel frame building? Was a big and expensive tool.
It wasn't. I mean, financially, it was hard. It kind of sucked. But just physically doing the work, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I knew when I ordered the machine that I wanted to do rails on the Mustang, and I thought there was a demand for it, because at the time there was Art Morrison, Chris Alston, Bowling Brothers, and I'd ordered my machine at the same time SS Chassis Works had just got their machine. So there was Steve down at SS Chassis Works, and me. And I'm like, there's so many cars being built everywhere that I think we could keep busy with it. So I just took the leap and I leased the machine. So how commercial tool leases work is it's like a loan, but you buy the machine back at whatever the final payment is. It could be $1, it could be 10 grand. So I lease it, and the lease works better on my taxes than just buying it and depreciating it. So I leased it for 5 years, and it's made more than its payment. So yeah, like I said, it was a little taxing, like seeing $100,000 machine and financing that for 5 years and hoping it could pay its way. But you gotta take those risks and those gambles.
So our comments right now.
Yeah.
Again, only like 8 more minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had a really good idea yesterday. So I've been talking about doing a coffee table book for all the naysayers and the shit talkers on social media. So I've been screenshotting that stuff, especially the funny ones. So, but I hadn't thought of a cover or a book title yet. And I think the title is going to be called "Stuff You Wouldn't Say to My Face for 1,000, Alex," like a Jeopardy quote. And we'll do a computer screen that says that on it, and that'll be the cover in the title. So I thought that was pretty funny. Because the guy he was flapping his gums yesterday about just something stupid. And that was my response, is just things you wouldn't say to my face for 1,000, Alex. And he got super upset. So I think that's going to be the book title.
Have you saw the one where people were complaining about you being in the left lane?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a bunch of those.
There's like 5 of them. They're like left lane campers, like usual.
Yeah, it was where me and Jamie were out in the GT, and I was in the left-hand lane while she was filming, and I had just passed a car on my right, and then where I was coming up the highway, it splits into a third lane to the left or a lane to the right. And it was a 30-second video that she took, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're humping the left lane," and all these people freaking out about it. And it's amazing. So those people will definitely be in the book. I've screenshotted those.
Funny book idea. Sounds awesome. Book cover. Aim small, miss small.
Yeah?
I'm doing the same with my Trek 1100 MX. You and your shop are very inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's what all of this is about. Like, we don't make much money on YouTube in general, and we don't get anything financially from doing the lives. But I think it's good to give back to the community, especially when there's so much bad information on the internet and YouTube about business and metal shaping and fabrication. And I think this is a good way that I can reach people all over the world and give back to the community, and hopefully put out good information that helps you guys. And that's what it's all about. Just getting information out and giving you guys a good platform to where if you have a question that you've wanted to ask and you've not wanted to type that out, or whatever reason you haven't asked yet, this gives you that platform to be able to do that. So that's kind of the goal of it, and I appreciate that that you guys are finding it beneficial.
Share the knowledge, grow the trade, and keep the skills alive. Kudos.
Yeah. I was going to show you, but Shane Henderson from Bailey was just calling me, so his ears must have been burning since we were talking about going to the Bailey class in Wisconsin in a couple weeks.
They're just jealous of your knowledge and abilities. Don't beat yourself up. The
Oh,
rest of the world will do it for you.
Yep. I don't worry about it, and I don't sweat it. I find it more funny than anything. I always tell them to go read The Man in the Arena and ask them how the weather is in the nosebleed seats. So I just don't let them being miserable affect my life. But I figured if I can profit from their negativity by putting it into a coffee table book so everybody else can see that everybody struggles with hateful people on the internet, I think it could be beneficial.
Sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can never hurt you.
Yep. I've been called way worse than what they call me on the internet. Yeah. The big one is everybody likes to call me corn-fed, like that's an insult somehow. And I'm like, that's the best you could come up with? So got a few minutes to go.
2 minutes.
Ask me any questions. And if we run over a little bit, that's okay, because I did show up 10 minutes late. So last few minutes to get your questions in. And yeah. Until then, keep in mind that we will be at Bonneville in August for Speed Week. So if you guys are coming to Bonneville, make sure to stop by our pit. I'll be floating around the pit with the MG, maybe the modified Roadster, or I'll be in the tech lanes, tech and cars, El Mirage in a few weeks. So I think it's May 18th and 19th. I'll be in Southern California the week before and probably the week after, and racing at El Mirage. So if you're coming to El Mirage, make sure to come by and say hello. If you guys are needing frame rails or parts, anything that I can do to help haul out on my trip, the trailer is going to be empty on the way out. And if I can save you some money on shipping, I'd be more than happy to help you out there. So keep that in mind as well. Sign up for the newsletter. You can go to cornfieldcustomsltd.store, and a little pop-up will come up and you can sign up for that. I am going to look into finding ways for you guys to get back issues of that. I keep meaning to do that, and I just keep dropping the ball. Yeah, I don't know of anything else. Keep in mind we got our Clico holders in stock, green, red, blue, and black. These are on the store ready to ship out.
Coke or Pepsi?
More of a Coke guy, but I'm not that picky.
Got any plans near Omaha, Nebraska?
Nothing to do in Omaha. I'll be passing through there on my way to Bonneville. I always take I-80 out. I don't know if I'll be staying in Omaha. We usually stay Omaha, Lincoln area, but the past couple of years we've just blown right through, and we try to make it to Sydney the first day. So nothing planned. I did see in the comments, we were talking about the Australia trip, and somebody was wanting me to come to Canada. So I'm going to look into that maybe next year. If any of you guys are watching are from Canada and you have a shop and you want to put on a class, hit me up, because that's the big thing is I have to have it's not really a sponsor shop, but a shop that's able to put it on, that's easy to get to, has the machinery we need, and has the space to do a class. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know. And I'd love to do a Canadian class. I'd love to do a European class. Anywhere all over the world that you guys are watching. If you wanted to host a class, let me know, and we can get that on the books for next year. So I think that's about all I've got.
Don't they camp out on the salt beds at Bonneville?
We don't camp on the salt. You can't stay on the salt overnight. Usually I stay at the bend in the road. So when you get off the highway, the road comes up and it makes a 90-degree turn before you head out to where Land's End is. I usually camp there. The past few years have been a little wet, so I've not been staying there. I usually stay in town in a parking lot. But I like the bend in the road. It's really cool to be out there at night.
Surely Carl can host you in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I keep meaning to text him every day and see if we can do one at his place. But I'd like to do one maybe more on the East Coast. I'd like to do one at Carl's, but he's all the way on the West Coast, and I'm not sure if a lot of guys in Canada would want to travel across the country. So if we could do an East Coast and a West Coast, I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, let me know, and I'll try to text Carl and see. Since he came here, maybe I'll go to him next time. No other questions?
That's it for right now.
Yeah. All right, you guys have literally a minute or two, and then I'm gonna end it. So you get those in there, and we are gonna have a poll come up. So depending on the weather, when me and Noah, or Noah and I, go to Bailey class, it's about a 10-hour drive, and I'm debating if we should take the GT, the Daytona, or my Super Duty. Weather permitting, if it's gonna be rainy, snowy, or miserable up there, we're gonna take the truck. But I think we should take the GT, but what do you guys think?
You know how they have UTV like things on the back of your trucks?
Yeah.
Do that, but like for the GT.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you were to build a custom machine, CNC type, what might it be?
I have no idea. I've never even thought about it.
GT all day.
Yep. So when that comes out, make sure to vote. It'll be in the community post. I think it comes out one day this week. I've scheduled a bunch this morning. So keep an eye out for that. Vote on it. And yeah. So any last minute questions, or are we all wrapped up for the day?
Carl only has homemade equipment. Lol. Any interest in newer frames?
So Carl's equipment doesn't matter. He's got a power hammer and hand tool stuff. I mean, I used to do all hand tool work, so that'd be no problem going to Carl's place. New frames. I mean, I'm guessing you're talking about mandrel bending new stuff. I don't care what it is. I mean, if you send me a design, it could be for a 2025 Honda Civic. I don't care. Tubing's tubing to me as long as you can provide me with sketches of what you need.
Take the GT and let Dom drive the Daytona. I'll just drive the forklift down there.
Yeah.
2-speed. Yeah, it'll be nice. All right.
That it?
I think that's it.
All right. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. Make sure, if you haven't checked some of the videos we've had coming out in the past couple weeks, I think they're really good. We've been doing the Mack truck fenders, the paper patterns on mirroring the quarter panel on the 51. So make sure to check that stuff out. I think we got a bunch of other videos because we've got the 32 door skin video coming out, more Mack truck stuff, and yeah, who knows what else we'll come up with. So make sure to check that stuff out. I appreciate all the views, all the comments, all the likes. So make sure to check those out. Tell a friend. It greatly helps the channel. So thanks a lot, guys, and we will see you next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.